Hello everyone, today I will share my tips on how to cook the best prime rib in the world. I obviously already cooked it and ate it and it was absolutely delicious. And I hope the two guys who had dinner with me will be kind enough to please come back and write comments as they promised between their second and third servings. Okay, tip number 1. When you're shopping for prime rib, by bone-in cut that still has the fat on the top, it tastes so much better. The fat makes a fantastic crunchy layer and it eliminates the need of adding butter. And the bones give it a wonderful flavor and serve as a natural baking rack. Tip number 2. Take the prime rib out of the refrigerator about 3 hours prior to cooking and cover it with plastic wrap so it doesn't dry out. Tip number 3. At the end of the 3 hours and before you start seasoning the prime rib, set the oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 degrees Celsius. I will tell you why in a second. Tip number 4. Tap the prime rib dry with a paper towel. Tip number 5. Season the prime rib with kosher salt on all sides and use a lot of it. Don't worry, your prime rib will not be too salty because kosher salt is not as salty as table salt. And the reason I suggested in tip number 3 to preheat the oven prior to seasoning the prime rib, it's because we do not want the salt to melt. We don't want the salt to just sit in the prime rib while we're waiting for the oven to preheat. We want the salt to create a nice crunchy layer on the top of the prime rib in combination with the fat. Should you wish, you can add some black pepper as well. But that's it. No other herbs needed at all. When you're done seasoning, place the prime rib with the fat side up in a deep baking dish and do not use rack. The ribs will play the role of a rack. To calculate how long to cook the prime rib, take the weight of the prime rib and multiply it by 5 minutes. Then add extra 2 minutes to compensate for the heat you will lose when you open the oven. In my case, the prime rib is 10.6 pounds times 5 minutes per pound equals 53 minutes. Plus the extra 2 minutes, my total baking time is 55 minutes. I'm also using a meat thermometer just to make sure I don't overcook it for some crazy reason. Next, place the prime rib in the oven one level up from the bottom rack of the oven. Set the timer to the time you got on your calculator, in my case 55 minutes, and wait for 55 minutes or whatever time you've got on your calculator. And do not open the oven to look at the prime rib, and make sure your guests are as far as possible from the oven as well. Once the time is up, turn the oven off, but do not open it. Do not open the oven, just turn it off. Set the timer to 2 hours. Walk away and make sure no one else touches the oven door either. After 2 hours, take the prime rib out of the oven and be prepared to see the juiciest, perfectly done medium rare prime rib roast. For medium rare, the internal temperature should be between 130 and 135 degrees Fahrenheit. You can start slicing the prime rib right away. There is no need to rest it as it has been resting in the oven for 2 hours. For guests who like the prime rib medium, you can serve the 2 end slices and it will be more and more medium rare as you get closer and closer to the middle of the prime rib. And as I promised, look at all those juices. Look how moist and tender the meat is. And my all-time favorite, look at that crunchy, crispy layer of deliciousness on the top of the prime rib. So good. Guys, girls, if you tried this prime rib recipe, please come back and let me know how you liked it. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Enjoy your prime rib, everyone. As always, thank you so much for watching. I love you all.